6 richest women in human history. Money is power, and power opens the door to a world where the laws are written by the strongest. In human history, wealth has always been associated with men. But there were women whose fortunes did more than just make them rich. They changed the course of history. They ruled empires, decided destinies, controlled entire economies, and their secrets and intrigues still cause controversy and conspiracy theories. But wealth is not always just luxury. It hides power, but also brings enemies. Some of these women disappeared under mysterious circumstances, leaving only rumors and unsolved mysteries. Others were accused of crimes, power struggles, and manipulations on a global level. They stood behind kings and presidents, managed shadow capital, and left a mark on world history that cannot be erased. Who were these women? Heirs to ancient dynasties? Secret strategists of the global economy? Or figures whose names were deliberately erased from the annals because their influence frightened even the most powerful rulers? Today, we dive into the gripping and shocking stories of 6 of the richest women in human history to find out how they rose to power, what secrets they took with them, and how their wealth shaped the fate of entire nations. Ready for the reveal? Let's get started. Number 6. Hatshepsut, 1507–1458 BC, the billionaire pharaoh. Hatshepsut is a woman who defied history itself. In a world where power belonged to men, she did not simply ascend the throne of Egypt, but became one of the most powerful pharaohs, creating an era of unprecedented prosperity. Her wealth was measured in mountains of gold, caravans of precious goods, and countless reserves of valuable resources, and her influence extended far beyond the borders of Egypt, controlling the trade routes of all of Africa. But what made her one of the richest women in history? Hatshepsut managed to create an economic empire that brought untold treasures to Egypt. She organized an expedition to the mysterious land of Punt, from where her ships brought gold, incense, precious stones, rare species of wood, and exotic animals. This trade success provided Egypt with an unprecedented level of wealth, and Hatshepsut herself became not just a ruler, but also the mistress of all African trade. In terms of today's money, her fortune would exceed $250 billion, and this is only according to official data. But there is a theory that her real wealth was much greater, because part of her treasures disappeared from history after her death. The biggest mystery is why they tried to erase her name from history. After her death, her successor Thutmose III ordered the destruction of all mentions of Hatshepsut. Her statues were thrown down from temples, her name was knocked out of inscriptions. The official version says that this was a political decision. Perhaps the male heirs did not want to admit that the country was once ruled by a woman. But there is another, darker theory. Some researchers believe that Hatshepsut possessed secret knowledge that could change the perception of the world. The ancient Egyptians believed in the power of magic and the afterlife, and there are hints that Hatshepsut may have known the secrets of immortality or even possessed knowledge of ancient civilizations that preceded the Egyptians. But perhaps her name was erased for another reason. She may have hidden untold treasures that no one has ever found. If her real wealth exceeded the official figures, then where is it now? Perhaps Hatshepsut's tomb still holds her secrets, waiting for someone to unravel the mystery of one of the most powerful rulers in history. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. Hatshepsut wasn't just rich. She changed the course of history, proving that power has no gender, and her legacy remains shrouded in mystery. Number 5. Isabella Thirst of Castile, 1451–1504, the woman who bought America. Isabella Thirst of Castile is a woman who changed the fate of entire continents. As Queen of Spain, she not only ruled one of the largest kingdoms in Europe, but also financed Christopher Columbus's expedition that led to the discovery of America. Her wealth was legendary, and her political acumen made her one of the most powerful women in history. But was this risky move, investing in Columbus's voyage, just a lucky gamble? Or did Isabella already know that he would find the New World? How did she become one of the richest women in Europe? From the very beginning of her reign, Isabella faced chaos. Castile had been ravaged by civil wars, but she drastically reformed the economy, tightened tax controls, and united Spain with her husband, Ferdinand II of Aragon, creating one of the most powerful states in Europe. She also gained control of ports and trade routes, monopolized markets, and created a financial empire that gave her a fortune of $350 billion in today's money. But the most important decision of her life was to support Christopher Columbus. Historians often say that Columbus begged for funding for his expeditions, but Isabella may have already known about the vast wealth that lay beyond the ocean. Conspiracy theory. Did she know Columbus would find America? The official story is that Columbus set out into the unknown, risking his life. However, there are hints that the Spanish court may have had secret maps that already showed unknown lands. Some researchers believe that the Portuguese, Venetians, and even Arab sailors may have already known about the existence of the New World long before Columbus. If so, then Isabella, by financing the expedition, actually wanted to monopolize the gold and resources of the New World, getting ahead of her rivals. After all, just a few decades later, Spanish ships began transporting huge reserves of gold, silver, and exotic goods from America, turning Spain into the financial center of the world. But it's not that simple. Isabella was not only the richest woman in Europe, but also a tough ruler who carried out large-scale religious and social reforms. She was behind the Spanish Inquisition, the expulsion of the Moors and Jews, and the creation of one of the first intelligence networks in Europe. Perhaps it was her secret information and geopolitical game that allowed her to bet on Columbus and win. But did she know the whole truth? Or was she being used as a tool by greater forces who knew that beyond the ocean lay unknown lands and untold riches? Either way, Isabella's decision was one of the largest financial investments in history. She didn't just invest in an expedition, she essentially bought access to America, changing the world order forever. Number 4. Anna, Empress of Russia, 1693 to 1740, the secret owner of Siberian gold. Anna Ivanovna is one of the most mysterious and controversial empresses of Russia, whose wealth and influence extended across the entire Eurasian continent. Her reign was an era of luxury, intrigue, and huge financial flows, which she skillfully managed. However, behind the lavish balls and eccentric entertainments, there was a real empire of gold, furs, and trade, which made Anna one of the richest women in history. After the death of Peter I, Russia entered a period of political instability. But it was under Anna that the state consolidated control over Siberia, opening a new page in the history of colonization and exploitation of its natural resources. The main source of her untold wealth were Siberia's gold and fur reserves, resources that Anna personally controlled. The fur trade brought in huge profits, and the deposits of precious metals in Siberian mines replenished the empress's treasury, making her financial power almost absolute. Contemporaries noted that Anna Ivanovna lived in incredible luxury. She hosted lavish balls, legendary in their scale, and her court was full of gold, expensive fabrics and jewelry, the cost of which was impossible to calculate. However, there were rumors that not all of her fortune replenished the state treasury. Some historians believe that Anna could have hidden part of her wealth in the depths of Siberia, perhaps in underground storage facilities or hidden treasuries. This conspiracy theory did not arise by chance. During Anna's reign, new Siberian deposits were actively developed, and gold mining reached a new level. However, the exact amount of precious metal mined is still unknown, as many reports disappeared in the following years. The disappearance of this data gave rise to legends about Anna's gold, which could have been hidden in hard-to-reach corners of Russia. Some researchers believe that it was during this period that secret Siberian storage facilities were established, known only to a select few. Perhaps these reserves were part of a reserve fund in case of coups or wars. Others are sure that Anna could have deliberately hidden part of the wealth, fearing palace conspiracies that could overthrow her from the throne. After her death, another empress took the throne, and traces of Anna's secret wealth gradually disappeared. To this day, legends about countless treasures hidden in ancient mines and caves circulate in the Siberian forests and mountains. Perhaps, somewhere there, chests with gold bars, precious stones, and artifacts of the royal court still rest. Anna Ioannovna remained in history as a cruel but influential ruler who managed to concentrate colossal wealth in her hands. Perhaps part of her fortune still remains Russia's most mysterious treasure, waiting for its time. Number 3. Madame Shi Jin, 1835 to 1908, China's shadow leader. The great emperors of China held the fate of the Celestial Empire in their hands for centuries. But there was a moment in history when all power, the entire economy, and even the future of the country were in the hands of one woman. Her name was Cixi, but in the shadows of palace intrigue, she was known as the Shadow Empress, the Grey Cardinal of the Dragon, the woman ruling China from behind the curtain. Cixi Dowager, or Madame Shi Ding as she is known in the West, began as a simple concubine of the emperor. But in a world where power was fought to the death, she was able to rise to the top, becoming the most powerful woman in Asia. After the death of Emperor Xianfeng, she became regent for the young emperor and in fact, the sole ruler of China. But power was only part of her power. Cixi controlled the finances of the entire country, with her hands on China's vast gold reserves, trade flows with the West, taxes on peasants, and the vast palace treasures amassed by the Qing dynasty. In today's money, her fortune would be worth over $450 billion, making her one of the richest women in history. But her influence went beyond her wealth. There are theories that Cixi was part of a secret society that not only ruled China, but also influenced the world order. In the late 19th century, China was on the brink of collapse, with Western powers seeking to subjugate the country, while rebellions, conspiracies, and attempts at modernization were growing within the empire. But Cixi somehow managed to balance chaos and stability, maintaining power for decades. Some historians believe that she may have had connections to secret fraternities, such as the White Lotus Society, which was involved in mystical practices and conspiracies, or even Western Masonic circles that sought to influence the Chinese economy. How did she manage to manipulate entire states without leaving the walls of the Forbidden City? One of the most mysterious aspects of her reign is where her vast wealth disappeared to after her death. Her palace was said to be filled with gold bars, precious stones, and priceless artifacts, but most of these treasures disappeared after her death. According to one version, her confidants took the gold abroad, where it became part of secret financial networks supporting unknown political forces. But no matter how dark her image, the fact remains that Cixi was one of the most powerful and wealthy women in history. She ruled a country where women were not considered capable of power, and she manipulated politics, economics, and even the fate of China in ways that are still felt today. She was hated, feared, and most importantly, she was never stopped. Number 2. Florence Gold, 1895 to 1983, a billionaire with a secret Nazi connection. Florence Gould was a woman who lived in a world of boundless wealth, luxury, and mystery, shrouded in conspiracies and suspicions. Her fortune was colossal, equivalent to $500 billion in today's money, and her influence extended far beyond the United States and Europe. She was a billionaire, a philanthropist, a hostess of chic salons, and one of the most enigmatic figures of the 20th century. But what if there was something darker, hidden behind the facade of a wealthy heiress? Florence was born in America, but her life was closely connected to France. She was the wife of banker Frank J. Gould, a member of the powerful Gould family who made a huge fortune in railroads. However, Florence was not just a rich socialite. She had a keen mind, ambition, and, perhaps, secrets that could have changed the course of history. During World War II, she remained in Nazi-occupied France and continued to live a luxurious lifestyle, hosting aristocrats, politicians, and members of high society in her salons. But who exactly did she socialize with? Some historians claim that she maintained contacts with the Nazi elite and even financed the needs of the occupiers. The most intriguing detail of her story is the rumor that Florence may have been an intermediary between the Nazi elite and financial structures in Switzerland and the United States. During the war, she continued to conduct business, her accounts grew, and her influence remained unshaken. After Germany's defeat, many Nazis mysteriously managed to flee Europe. Were her money and connections used? But the most mysterious thing is, where did the millions that were possibly transferred to her accounts disappear to? There is a theory that after the war, Florence helped hide Nazi capital using her connections in the banking world. It is possible that it was through her financial structures that funds were transferred to secret accounts that have not yet been found. After the war, she faced no condemnation. Her connections and power allowed her to remain untouchable. She continued to live in luxury, investing money in art, patronage, and cultural projects, but her name was never cleared of suspicion. The documents related to her banking operations were never fully declassified, meaning the mystery of her fortune remains unsolved. If hidden Nazi accounts really existed, then perhaps millions of dollars are still sitting in secret accounts that no one knows about. But did she know more? Perhaps Florence Gould was not just using her fortune for personal enrichment, but was also part of a game that unfolded in the shadow of World War II. Her name will forever remain in history, but will it remain the name of a rich heiress, or a figure associated with the darkest pages of the 20th century? Number 1. Josephine Bonaparte, 1763 to 1814, the woman who controlled France. Josephine Bonaparte was not just Napoleon's wife, but a woman whose wealth and influence eclipsed even her great husband. She did not fight on the battlefield, but she knew how to rule the world from the shadows using finance, politics, and intrigue. Her estimated fortune, converted into today's money, exceeded $600 billion, and her influence on the economy of France and the fate of Napoleon's empire was much greater than is commonly believed. But where did she get such enormous wealth? It all started before her marriage to Napoleon. Born in Martinique, she knew how to work with large trading networks connected to the colonies. After her first marriage to the Viscount of Beauharnais, she entered the aristocratic circles of France. However, her fate changed after the French Revolution. Her first husband was guillotined, and Josephine herself was imprisoned. But even in prison, she was able to establish connections that would later make her one of the most powerful women in France. Then Napoleon came along. He was a young, ambitious general, and Josephine was his guide to high society. She didn't just become his wife, she became his political advisor, his inspiration, and the most important person in his life. It is believed that without her, Napoleon would never have become emperor. But most importantly, she had access to his treasures. Napoleon conquered Europe, bringing back military trophies, gold, jewelry, works of art. And although he formally ruled France, it was Josephine who controlled the finances. She used her influence to direct trade, control the flow of money, and even interfere in the country's economic decisions. Many French bankers and financiers were connected to her, and her personal accounts were filled with gold that Napoleon took from the conquered countries. But her power did not last forever. When Napoleon realized that Josephine would not be able to bear him an heir, he divorced her to marry the Austrian Princess Marie-Louise. But even after the divorce, he could not take her wealth. Josephine remained incredibly rich, owning several castles, vast land holdings, and countless treasures. However, after Napoleon's fall, her name became the center of one of the most mysterious conspiracy theories. According to rumors, Josephine knew that Napoleon's empire was doomed and prepared a backup plan for herself in advance. Some sources claim that part of her wealth, including gold and jewelry, was secretly taken to South America. Allegedly, before her death, she managed to hand over the keys to her treasures to trusted people, and part of her fortune was never found. But is this true? Did Josephine's untold riches disappear in the chaos after the fall of the empire? Or are they really hidden somewhere, waiting for their time? One thing is certain: Josephine did not simply go down in history as the wife of a great military leader. She herself was an empire, holding the fate of France and its treasures in her hands. History knows many powerful men whose fortunes shook the world, but the women we talked about today prove that wealth is not just numbers, but a force capable of changing the fate of empires, influencing the world economy, and rewriting history. Some of them ruled countries, others managed finances from the shadows, and others are surrounded by secrets that still cause controversy. But what made them truly great? Their power was built not only on gold, but on intelligence, cunning, foresight, and the ability to remain invisible when necessary. Their fortunes have survived the centuries, but some of their secrets still remain unsolved. Which of these women do you think had the greatest impact on history, and what other rich women could have made it onto this list? Write your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new historical investigations, secrets, and amazing discoveries. There's still a lot of exciting stuff ahead. Until next time.